I'm Em,
And I'm Lex.
and we're thrilled to welcome you to the Ready, Set, Coach podcast.
Now, we're not just your hosts. We're also mamas, entrepreneurs, coaches, friends, and co-founders of the Ready, Set, Coach community.
What began as a pandemic side hustle has blossomed into a vibrant online community crafted by coaches for coaches.
So when we're not immersed in our coaching community on Circle, we're busy managing our other businesses, navigating the ups and downs of life, and of course, recording this podcast.
This is where we dive deep into epic conversations about life, business, coaching,
and everything in between.
So are you ready, Lex?
I'm set, Em.
Let's coach.
Well, hi, Emily Merrill. The Merrill?
The Merrill.
The Merrill Hill?
The Merrill Hill. I know. Isn't it? Should I change my name to Hill?
It makes Christmas card season confusing a bit because I don't know whether to say like to the Hill family or to the Merrill Hill family or to Merrill. So for that reason,
you can say the Hill family. It's fine. Or what I do, and I've confused everyone, I'll say the Merhills, and people just assume at this point that I have like hyphenated my name, which I have not. But I thought it was funny.
Shout out to one of our friends and clients, Corey Whitland, who basically invented her last name by putting, you knew this. She's told us this. You did know this.
Has.
Yes, she has. We knew this, Corey, but she took her partner's last name and her last name and they made a new last name. So that makes me think of Merrill.
Yeah, I know. I think it goes back to my fear of paperwork, and the idea of getting a new passport stressed me out enough, like back 5 years ago when I got my last passport. So we'll cross that bridge in 2025.
I'm going to have a coachable moment. I think this is a really great example where you're using something as an excuse when maybe there's different reasons. Because I'll just throw this out there. I think you've lived a lot of your life and you've spent a lot of time building a reputation under your last name of Merrill.
You therapist session complete. You got it.
Which I resonate with. I miss my maiden name was Olson. And it was really annoying from an SEO perspective when I changed. What I'm debating doing is having 4 names and being Alexandra Christine Olson Smith at one point. Not hyphenated, but just sticking it in there because it's been 5 years since I've been married and I still miss it.
Yeah.
Like Smith, I just miss the fact that however many years of my life I spent as an Olson.
Yeah, it's a part of your identity, and we're a family of girls, so the name dies after us basically. So there's also that kind of
there's a lot of pressure. Talk about the Smiths being a 4th generation family owned company at this point, meaning if I don't produce a
an
male heir, then that dies with me. Just like 100+ history. It's fine. No pressure.
Wow, Lexi, you've got to really study that one. Your next baby's going to be built.
So this episode we're talking about the constructs of feminism and the patriarchy. I'm just kidding.
I think that's like the end of the relationship or the end of the episode. My brain just melted. I wouldn't even know how to navigate that conversation.
I'd say go watch Barbie.
Yeah, I really liked it, which was very controversial. I found it so funny how, well, we've talked about this before, but just how controversial a movie.
I'm not surprised it's controversial, but I loved it. I completely understand looking at, wow, we're getting political here. Reining it in. We're not going to go there today, guys.
Lexi and I had the pleasure of seeing Barbie together, though, and I have to say it was the first time in my first movie I think I've seen since 2019, and probably my first movie in my adult life that I've seen with alcohol, where we had a bottle of wine between the two of us. In the movie theaters. I was like, this is fun. This is
how we laughed and we cried and
we looked at each other.
Yes, it was wonderful. I tried to steal someone else's seats.
Yeah, that was a weird thing. Guys, when people reserve seats, like they actually reserve seats, but Lexi had this assumption, well, we were there early, we should just park ourselves in these seats and play dumb when they arrive. I was like, I'm such a rule follower. I'm such a rule follower and such a not a rule follower all at the same time, which I think is really entertaining. Like, don't get me started with TSA in general. I'm like, it's 3 bags. They're going to all fit fine. And I will be very angry when they question my authority on that one. But I also don't want to go to jail. So I will follow the rules and I will make them all fit perfectly. So
think I felt more safe trying to potentially steal someone's seats in the cover of night, because I didn't think it would hurt my reputation as a human, which brings us to the transition. Today, we're going to talk about what are we going to talk about? How you establish and build a strong reputation in the coaching industry.
Speaking of reputation, I feel like Taylor Swift is really good at building reputations. And I know we had a whole Taylor Swift episode, but I just want to say, have you been following the whole like relationship that she has now?
Oh yeah, very, very closely, because it's like a master school in PR and marketing too.
It really is. And it's incredible to see that. I have no idea who this person is. I also am not a sports person. I'm like, what is the Chiefs? I'm not sure. Sorry, football people out there, but
pissing CJ off.
Yeah, but seriously, it's like one of those things where people now are tuning in to I'm sure the viewership has been massive.
Female viewership increased by 65%, and it's completely affected the game. What do they call it? Like the game
sportscasters.
The prime game time. That's why CJ got mad. The Chiefs played, I don't know, the matchup for whatever last Sunday's like prime game was like purely a publicity stunt, and it made him mad. He's like, this isn't a good matchup. This isn't like the game that should be on prime time. They're only doing this because of Taylor Swift. I'm like, which is smart. I'm like, the whole point of football is to make money. Anyways, I digress. Let's bring it back in, goes into our Taylor Swift episode, which actually is a little bit related to what we're talking about today. But we really, a quick bit of context. I was interviewed recently, and this question got brought up to me. They asked, how did you start and build a reputation in your industry?
You killed everyone else. What industry? No, I'm just
what industry?
I'm start. Sorry, guys.
I had to sit down and think and like kind of track it. And then Emily and I did that, and we had similar paths, and we really agree on this. So I think it's worth sharing. Why are we laughing?
I don't know. I'm delusional, guys. I have COVID, so I just want to let you know I'm a little. Let's put an asterisk to everything I say, and my brain is somewhere in a bubble. So, Lexi, you bring up a good point. You had a great reputation, or you built a reputation. So, what tips and advice do you have for people when building their reputation?
Well, first, I'd like to think that both you and I have pretty okay reputation, right? So reputation can go either way. So the context of this whole conversation is building a strong one, or a positive one, or a credible one. Just saying, because you can build a reputation the other way. So I just felt like it was worth calling out. Okay. So the very first thing that I did, and I believe you did the same, but I'll ask you in a second, is I showed up anywhere and everywhere, whether that be a call, a workshop, a community, and taught for free. If I could get on a podcast, I didn't care how big it was, I would get on it. If someone wanted to pick my brain for 30 minutes, I'd let them. If there was a community who wanted me to speak for free, I would. I went everywhere. I blitzed the market with my knowledge. And while there was impact, there was some strategy to that, because that enabled me to get out in front of masses in the early days of my business. A lot of people are preaching and coaching, and it's something we preach too, to hold steady with your boundary and be selective with your time. Personally, I will just reflect, I wasn't early on, and it ended up benefiting me majorly. What about you, Em?
Well, I have this visual of you as like a human whack-a-mole, where it's like, she's here. She's here. We found her all over the place. And it is true. I'm just backing up a bit. When I met Lex, I met her in real life at a conference, and then quickly the next month of our relationship, the pandemic happened. And so our communities and our worlds started bleeding together. And I do think that the virtual the acceptance that life was happening virtually made it a lot easier to do that. So I just want to acknowledge like the time and place in which you came into business was really.
Yes. And can I real quick too, because I think it's important I also did not have children. I think that's a huge thing. And I had the privilege of having saved up and having an income that allowed me to be generous with my time. So I don't want to say that without being mindful of the things I had going for me.
Yes. But I'm 1,000% with you. When I started my business, and you all know I didn't launch with coaching right out of the gate, it was with 6 degrees. So I took every meeting that was requested of me. And typically this was back in 2016. It usually happened in real life. Sometimes it would happen in the same place. I got strategic after a few years, but oftentimes it was different coffee shops. So my biggest expense was schlepping to different coffee shops and drinking a lot of coffee. By like my 10th coffee of the day, I was practically like speed running to every meeting. But the thing that I did really well was I offered value to those people. So oftentimes I was coaching people and I didn't know that I was coaching people. I was making strategic introductions. I was just being really generous. And it was, and we've talked about this model before about basically depositing money into the bank and being able to help others. And so what happened is when then a door opened and I saw that mutual connection with that person I was generous to, if they did their due diligence and they talked to that mutual connection, the reputation that came out of it was, oh my God, Emily is the best. Like she's always going above and beyond in helping. And connecting. So I really, really, really established myself as being known as something positive, which I wanted to be known for, which was a connector.
Yeah, a connector. And so I think both of us did a really good job in our respective fields. Different times. You entered before me, but we didn't start out the gate with just selling hard. People didn't get to know us just as someone who had something to sell, thus making them maybe more wary to talk to us. We were known as givers, as people who were generous with our time. And we also were able to showcase our knowledge in niche spaces, but big spaces too. And I think that's when I reflect back in that interview, I'm so grateful I did, because while yes, today, I have to be more selective with my time. People know that it's not like I haven't always been this way, right? Like they know that I'm overly generous with my time and my knowledge still when I can be. So I think the first nail we want to hammer in is starting the first thing in establishing and building a reputation. In our opinion, at least our reputation similar to ours has been starting with generosity.
Yeah. And I liked what you said earlier, Lex, too, about saying yes to all of the invitations you were given. This wasn't your time to be selective. You were able to be in communities that were 1,000% the right fit for you, and communities that probably you never will talk to again. And it's a great way for you to also assess who your right person is and cultivate those relationships further. And guys, being in community of other people's and being invited into other people's community, it's also an opportunity to then shift them over into your world, to get them into your newsletter, have them following on your Instagram, and cultivate a relationship from there. So
I've also found if you have a reputation as a giver, people are a lot more willing to give back in return and spread word of mouth, because they're not afraid they're going to intro you to one of their friends and you're just going to hard sell. Right? Totally. It gives people like a feeling of safety that makes them want to talk about you.
Yeah. And we will do a whole nother episode, which I think we have, on boundaries. So this is not the episode where we're going to share with you how to filter through that or how to preserve your energy. This is about reputation. So, Lex, we know that generosity is being generous of time, intros, giving away things for free. Gosh, I remember our first relationship too, like our cultivating of our friendship, and just how generous you were even at 6 degrees events, shouting out after an event, like the speaker that you had just seen, or you would make an intro to someone in real time, like you were or giving people resources. So do you have any tips for people to have like generous things on the ready?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're just starting out, this is going to depend on what type of coach you are, but the most readily available thing you have is your time and knowledge. And I know that's what we're selling in coaching, But hear me loud and clear. You can still be generous with your time and knowledge and build a monetary business, because ultimately not everyone you educate is meant to be your client. That being said, if you get in rooms where other people can hear you and you start spreading word of mouth, that could lead you to a client. So I think the big mistake there that we both have seen is when people become protective too early on of their expertise and their time, they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot and missing the key component or the opportunity to build a relationship. Do you have any tips before we move on to the next thing?
I do. I think having something that's an easy give in your back pocket, and we've talked about this previously, but like, again, I host events. And so for me to send an invite to someone and give a free ticket there's no skin off my back. And then it's an opportunity for them to get to know me more. They feel special. Typically when I invite them as a VIP, they feel more VIP and they feel like they're coming into something with that much more like affinity for the organization. I think then, yeah.
Go. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, I think the one thing to separate or one thing to like be cognizant of is to not have expectation of a person, like just because you gave them a free ticket to come to an event, don't hold that expectation or don't be disappointed if they don't become a paying client overnight, or if they don't become a member of your organization, or if they don't buy in. A lot of times generosity is very much a long game. And it again, I don't want to say it in a disingenuous way, but one of my favorite stories from clients is like, I've been nurturing and pushing them and tugging them for years before they then are ready to accept me as their coach and hire me. Like, I have 4 examples in my brain right off the bat that I literally like fed into for so long before they were financially at a place, and they were themselves at a place where they could recognize, like, I want you fully in my corner in a paid capacity.
Hey everyone, Lex here.
And Em.
And if you haven't heard, we did something pretty darn cool.
We sure did. We launched a completely free community built specifically for coaches.
Say it again for the people in the back.
We launched a free community for coaches. Tell them quickly who it's for and what we're doing inside, Lex.
Sure thing. So it's for anyone from the coaching curious to side hustlers to coaches ready to scale. And through the virtual platform that we've built, we've created a safe and fun space to learn, launch, grow, connect, ideate, collaborate, vent, and evolve together.
Nailed it, Lex. Now, while it's free, you must apply in order to gain a free membership. So we can make sure everyone inside is awesome, like us.
Apply today at readysetcoachcommunity.com. Yeah, so not every generous action needs to immediately lead to a sale. You need to let that go. I wanted to say too, as we're talking about being generous and networking and showing up, I think another really, really key thing is how you interact and how you respect others through those opportunities. Meaning, if you agree to come to an event, show up. Don't no show. If you have a 30-minute discovery call booked, show up, respect their time. I know it sounds crazy, but basic things, don't cancel on people last minute unless it's an emergency. If you say you're going to be somewhere, be there. Accountability and follow through and how you interact with your generosity, I also think is really, really important.
Yeah. Yes. I think that is, you want to leave a good taste in everyone's mouth where they want more of you. So Lex, thinking about the next step of generosity, what do you recommend people do? So they're generous, they've shown up, they're brand new, they're everywhere that they can be. How do they find these opportunities?
Yeah. Well, so the next step of reputation building beyond generosity, in our opinion, is once you do get your client, even if it's beta, so even if it's not paid, really, really, really putting all your energy and attention to that client.
Yeah.
Making sure they have an exceptional experience with you. There is something in coaching we need to be reminded of, and I want to bring this up right now. We can't control the end outcome of our clients, in the sense that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force them to drink. So this isn't me saying you have to guarantee they're going to get results, but what you can do is that you guarantee you show up and do your part, and that you're communicative, and that they have the experience above and beyond what they signed up for. Because especially those early clients, are walking, talking billboards of you and your practice forevermore.
Yeah, they really are. And it's funny. I think back to certain clients that are like, can you connect me to a past client to do my due diligence? And oftentimes I connect them back to my very, very first clients, who are forever my super fans and forever the people to talk about the transformations or the results that they got working with me. So I love that. I think that's a really, really great one, that even if it's a beta client, give them the onboarding gift, give them the full suite of experience.
Yeah. I want to dig into that for a second, because I have another perspective on past clients that I experienced and became a lesson learned. Um, some people a lot of people will come and ask to speak to past clients in coaching. You have a right to decide how you want to handle these situations. The one experience that made me change how I handled this, because I used to connect current clients with past clients, the ones that were willing. I then had actually a mutual contact of ours monopolize a hour and a half of a past client's time
Oh
and
yeah.
drill them. And I ended up deciding, for me, and this isn't to say one or the other is wrong, it's just a consideration, a lesson learned. You can also respect your clients by not allowing future business that doesn't benefit them to monopolize their time. So you can read the room a little bit here, but again, I had to change. So I no longer connect past with current, and that has lost me business. But I did that because I lived the worst case scenario, I decided to turn that off.
Yeah, no, that's a really good insight. I haven't been asked that in a very long time. I feel like usually when someone asks that, they're very anxious with their money and they're very nervous to invest their money. So they feel like they're looking for exit strategies in a way. So by speaking to past clients, I don't know what they're hoping to get out of it, but if they're, hoping to be told not to work with you, but um, I think your reputation usually stands for itself, that you don't need to pre-sell that to someone. Got it.
Okay. So really focusing heavily on client service, especially in the beginning, is super, super key to building a strong reputation. Anything else, Em?
No, I think I think one of the things that is great for us, and we've talked about this offline as well, is like we love reinvesting in our clients. And so if that means that they have a store, we've ordered stuff from their stores before. I've probably attended a paid workshop, or participated in some sort of client's experience as much as possible. I've bought courses, I've been in programs, I'm trying to think of what else. We bought merchandise, but we love supporting our clients and repping our clients fully. So I think our reputation also isn't just like, yay, we got you as a client, peace out. We love being able to reinvest our money and energy into that person. I don't know.
Yes, cosign. And then I would say early on too, I became a really great client, meaning I didn't barter, even though it would have been very tempting to. That's a complete lie. There was a few situations where they approached me with barters and I took them. Let me just be fully transparent there. I remember the first person who started my podcast was barter. Anywho, the point being, I chose to come to the market as an entrepreneur with money to invest in others and what they've built. And that didn't mean that person was always my client, but I think a great example here is like community. Investing in a community, paying for that community, showing up to that community, proving that I'm not someone who's just taking and asking. Yeah. I'm someone that equally is investing back into the entrepreneur economy at large. I think that was really key to reputation, because people talk, even if it's not direct client. Like if you see someone spending their dollars and not just being a takey. A takey? Is that a thing? Like there are certain people who just want to take.
Totally.
And that quickly becomes known. And then there's also entrepreneurs in the female entrepreneur and coaching space. It's a smaller world than you realize, that become known for actually these people are willing to invest in others too. They aren't just asking for money.
Yeah, I think that's good. Lex, I want to ask, what do we talk about if there's a bad reputation? What do we do if someone doesn't have the most ideal experience?
I feel like that's a whole nother episode, Emily. Healing a reputation. So we'll do another episode on that sometime, but the best thing you can do right now, if you're listening, is start from today and try intentionally to do something to cultivate a positive one going forward. In terms of reputation, I hope you're not listening to this and you're in a dire situation. Actually, I'll point you to another podcast. Jamie Ratterman, who has been a guest coach for the Ready Set Coach community, she had me on her show. Is her show called the Jamie Ratterman Limitless? And our whole episode was talking about this, navigating bad reputation. So there's a great episode on that. But we're hoping you're hearing this at a point where you don't have a bad one today and you have the opportunity to create or build a positive one going forward.
And I would also add to that, you want to create a reputation where you're known for something. So if I'm at a cocktail party and someone has a problem that they're telling me that I'm like, oh my God, you know what you need? You need really great PR. You should meet Lexi. Or, oh my goodness, you need, it sounds like you're really stressed out. You need to be reorganized and mindful and meet Christine, breathe with teen. Whatever it may be, like you're able to point people in the right direction and have a reputation that precedes you positively.
Love it. So here's your homework. Again, people listening are at all different stages here, but our homework for you is kind of like a challenge. We want to challenge you to do one thing generous in the upcoming week. Generous means generous with your time, generous with a resource, generous with your knowledge, something without expectation for a sale.
Mm-hmm. I like that. So it's kind of like the Pay It Forward movie. Do something positive in the world. Fun fact, I was inspired by the Pay It Forward movie to create 6 Degrees. It was like a big inspiration for me. The idea that we can all do a little bit of something generous every time we meet someone and it could change the world.
Oh, I mean, mic drop. On that note, we'll see you next time on the Ready, Set, Coach podcast.
Bye-bye now. If you're enjoying the Ready, Set, Coach podcast, please leave a review wherever you are listening. For more information about Ready, Set, Coach, visit readysetcoachprogram.com.